How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going somewhere more small than usual. Not in scale, but in height, and in tragedy. We're going to Gnomeregan, a city of invention, a city of brilliance, a city of arrogance, and one of the most catastrophic decisions ever made by a ruler in the history of the World of Warcraft. This is a story of progress and pride, a kingdom poisoned from within, of a reckless gamble with thousands of lives on the line, and how a brilliant race nearly wiped itself out with its own inventions. So sit back, grab a mecha gnome-sized beverage, and let's dive into Gnomeregan, or the fall of Gnomeregan. Before the fall of Gnomeregan, the gnomes were, and to an extent they still are, one of Azeroth's most ingenious races. They're masters of engineering, robotics, explosives, and occasionally, accidental self-destruction. Their inventions powered Ironforge's machinery, their devices supported the Alliance war effort, and while humans built kingdoms and dwarves dug into mountains, gnomes built wonders, inventions, and technology. Teleporters, shredders, mechanical mounts, chicken launchers. You name it, the gnomes are building it. Some practical, and some less practical. But beneath the jokes, there's something that lies, and it's a little bit more important. Gnomes were never really meant to be comic relief. They were pioneers, centuries ahead of the other races technologically. And at the heart of that innovation was Gnomeregan, the jewel of Dun Morogh. When you think of Gnomeregan, before the fall, I want you to imagine a city powered by whirling gears. Neon lights, steam pressure systems, tram rails, and laboratories. Clean metal, humming reactors, and systems working in an orderly fashion. This wasn't medieval fantasy, this was steampunk futurism, buried in the snow of Dun Morogh. They had everything. Gnomeregan had automated defense systems, they had public tram lines. If you look at the Deep Run tram, it's built off of the same stuff that Gnomeregan is built off of. They had experimental teleportation pads, they had waste management robots, data storage facilities. It just never ends, the technology that they had. It was a utopia. Efficient, buzzing, and alive. And at the center of Gnomeregan stood High Tinker Mechatork. He was brilliant, charismatic, and ambitious, and under his rule the gnomes thrived. But as we've seen in the history in the World of Warcraft, the smallest problem can cause the biggest implosion, whether it be externally or internally. Around 15 years before the vanilla World of Warcraft, seismic activity shook Dun Morogh. Deep underground, something was stirring. And that was Trogs. Primitive, violent creatures. They're resistant to magic, and they're stubbornly hard to kill. At first, they were nothing more than a nuisance, a pest. Then they became an infestation. Then they turned into an invasion force. Mechatork proposed evacuation, fallback plans, defensive war strategy, anything to keep Gnomeregan safe. But someone else disagreed with him. Enter advisor Thermoplug. Was he a genius? Yes, he was. Was he a visionary? Possibly. Completely unhinged? We'll get there soon enough. Thermoplug believed Trog presence was manageable. He believed that Gnomeregan could hold. He convinced the council that they had the technology to eradicate the Trogs completely. Mechatork listened to him, reluctantly. And the whole stage was set for disaster. The Trogs poured upward. The gnomes fought with mech suits, rifles, turrets, anything they could get their hands on, but the Trogs' numbers were endless. It seemed like the gnomes were going to have to retreat. Then Thermoplug proposed his only solution. A desperate gambit that would go down as one of the greatest strategic blunders in Azeroth. He suggested deploying radiation throughout the city. Not poison gas, not explosives, but literal radiation. A powerful, experimental, barely tested substance created by gnomish science. Mekatork authorized it. Whether out of trust, pressure, or misplaced hope, we'll never really know. And so it happened. The gas poured through the vents. It didn't stop the Trogs. It didn't save the city. Instead, it killed the gnomes in the city. Tens of thousands died within hours. A shining civilization drowned in glowing green fog. And guess who survived? Thermoplug, the architect of all this pain. He retreated into the irradiated city and declared himself ruler of what little remained. In the darkness of the ruined city, Thermoplug snapped. He rebuilt broken machinery, he reprogrammed defensive units, and he captured survivors for experiments. He no longer wanted to defend Gnomeregan, he wanted to watch it burn. His journal entries show obsession, envy, and hatred for Mekatork. He believed he's always deserved the throne, and that destruction proved his genius. To him, the fall of Gnomeregan wasn't a tragedy, it was validation for him. He completely lost all sense of sanity that was left in him. I mean, for God's sake, listen to this voice line from the game.
Usurpers! Gnomeregan is mine!
So I think it's fair to say that he lost all sense of humanity that was left in him. And that turned Gnomeregan into what it is today. Now, before we get talking about Gnomeregan and Vanilla WoW, I just wanted to apologize. All the footage you're seeing is from the War Within. I wasn't able to get any footage of Gnomeregan from Classic WoW at the moment. But, back to the topic. When players first stepped into Gnomeregan in Classic WoW, we saw the aftermath. We saw radioactive mutants staggering in green haze. We saw mechanized sentries gone haywire. Decaying infrastructure jammed with scrap. Trog warbands roaming freely. And gnome survivors barely clinging on. And deep within, Thermoplug waited. Laughing, ranting, throwing explosive presents like a demented Santa Claus. I mean, for God's sake, you heard the clip I played earlier. For many players, Gnomeregan wasn't just a dungeon, however. It was sad. A reminder that even the most advanced society can fall. Years later, after the defeat of the Lich King and Yogg-Saron, the gnomes tried to reclaim their home. Enter Operation Gnomeregan, a massive alliance effort. Tanks, troops, hazmat units, a siege on their own homeland in Dun Morogh. It was triumph, it was emotional, and it was also only partially successful. The radiation remained, and the Trogs remained, and Thermoplug escaped deeper into the city, laughing like a villain. And Gnomeregan was not truly retaken. Not yet, at least. But the spirits of the gnomes, they were rekindled. The surface-level district became a new capital hub. A start. It was something. Something better than what it was. So where's Gnomeregan now? It's still filled with radiation, it's still contested, and it's still begging for restoration. But with Warcraft's focus on legacy and rebuilding, players wonder, will we one day see Gnomeregan fully cleansed? Fully rebuilt? Fully repopulated? Imagine a restored neon-lit capital city, player housing pods, robot companions walking the streets, engineering crafting hub, a triumphant return for the gnomish race. I mean, it would be glorious, and it could happen. And maybe one day, Thermoplug will face the justice he so deserves. but we can only hope. Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into the radioactive ruins of Gnomeregan, there's one more figure worth taking a look at. A boss that many players never saw, because he was added during Legion. A character shrouded in mystery, and a name that feels like a sibling to Thermoplug. Engineer Omega Plug. Not Thermoplug, Omega Plug. Some people were like, who is this guy? A relative? A clone? A rejected lab project? A leftover developer joke? In truth, Blizzard just said nothing. They never gave him a clear canonical backstory. But that only makes me more interested in him. Now, when he got added, he was hidden after Mechgineer Thermoplug, when the dungeon is supposed to be over. A secret panel activation behind one of the things you're seeing in the back there. Omega Plug wasn't just a boss. He was a max level boss. It's crammed into a vanilla WoW dungeon. An elite mob that scales with whatever the highest level is of the next expansion. He has gigantic HP. He has hard-hitting spells. And oh my god, he is impossible to fight with all the bombs that come out and shit. It's so hard. Many groups don't even know that he exists. And you might be asking, why does he exist? Lore-wise, the best interpretation is that Omega Plug was Thermoplug's final creation. A failsafe engineer designed for total annihilation. Built during Thermoplug's descent into madness. A twisted mirror of himself. If Thermoplug is the prime tinkerer, Omega Plug is the engineer. The final contingency. You could literally imagine Thermoplug screaming, "If they take me, Omega will finish what I started!" Whether he be a clone, apprentice, or self-destruct protocol, one thing's for certain. He exists to ensure no one ever truly retakes Gnomeregan. And that was the story of Gnomeregan. A city of brilliance. A city in the future. But also a city of failure. And even more, a city that deserves redemption. If you enjoyed this deep dive, let me know in the comments. And let me know which one you'd like to see covered next. Gilneas, Undermine, Blackrock. There's literally a whole world of Warcraft to uncover. Thank you for watching, and have a good one, everybody.